So I grew up in church and all the things that go along with that. But unfortunately, I was living on a faith that was not my own. And that became really evident after a football injury really derailed all my future plans. It didn't take long after that for me to start abusing the drugs that I was prescribed after surgery, along with the alcohol that I had only previously dabbled in. And this led to a 13-year drug and alcohol addiction. During the beginning of that time, there was definitely some good times along with the bad, including when I met my wife, Kinzer. Everything happened so fast for us. We started dating and were engaged within 4 months, and shortly thereafter we found out that she was pregnant with our son, River. We got married and then we had our son. We were married for about 3 years, but during that time my addiction really took form and became debilitating. Now, after about 3 years, Kinzer made the right decision when my addiction was destroying our marriage and the life of my son. She took my son and she left, and it was the right thing to do. During the next 5-year period, I fell into a really deep depression, and it didn't take very long at all for me to also fall out of complete relationship with Kinzer and River. At the end of this 5-year period, it was so bad that I was literally trying to kill myself every day with the substances that I was using. I would wake up in the morning mad to still be alive and try to get right back at it again. Now, in a moment that I believed Jesus was just holding my hand, I walked down to the city jail and turned myself in on some warrants that I had. As they were transporting me from the city jail to the county correctional facility, I feel like Jesus ambushed me in the back of that transport vehicle, and he infiltrated my heart, and I started crying out to him right there, asking him to help me, asking him to save my life. And now it was during the next several months in this correctional facility where I really developed a relationship with Jesus, just a daily search for him. And after I got out of there, I went to a place called the Mission of Hope, where this relationship really grew and flourished under the guidance of some really godly men. While I was there, I met a guy named Brother Covey. I'd never met him before. He didn't know anything about my story, but he told me that he had something from God to tell me. He told me that I had a wife and I had a son. And that God told him to tell me that if I wrote her a letter, he was going to fix everything. He was going to build the bridges. So needless to say, I wrote her a letter. And when I received the letter back from her, it was like I was holding a tangible miracle in my hand. The last line of the letter said, "I'm not mad at you anymore. In fact, I forgave you a long time ago when I became a Christian back in April of 2014. Now, during this time, Kinzer and I started to really build a relationship. And build this relationship on Jesus. We started writing back and forth and then texting and eventually making phone calls. Now, my journey back to Georgia wasn't as quick as I thought it would be, but when I eventually did get back, I got to see River for the first time in 5 years. And the heart of an 8-year-old to be able to forgive me was purely of Christ, purely of Jesus living inside him. Kinzer and River and I started to grow together and build a relationship built on Jesus. And after a few months, we were married on February 21st of 2016. And since then, God has not stopped doing miracles in our life. He has not stopped pouring into us. And if there was a verse that I could really give you that sort of sums up my journey so far, it'd be seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and he will add all these things to you. And the reason why that was so important to me, because he didn't say seek a relationship with your wife or seek a relationship with your son. He didn't say try to get off of drugs. He said seek me and my righteousness and I'll give you everything else. He said don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow has enough evil for itself. He said seek me. And that's where I sit before you here today as somebody who lost everything, family, everything that I had. But then Jesus not only healed me of physical afflictions and of addiction, but he also healed the heart of a woman and a child who I abandoned and brought us back together, reunited in him. And that's where I am today.